Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the Traffic Commission meeting of September 29th to order. Members present are Police Chief Dave Callahan, Fire Chief Christopher Bright, and City Engineer Nick Rystrom, myself, Paul Agenzio, Superintendent of Public Works. If you could join me in a salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, Before we get started, I would just like to say that a lot of people here, and we want to hear from everyone. So when you come up to the podium, state your name, your address. Please hold your comments to 2 to 3 minutes so everyone has the chance to talk. And please don't shout from the audience or debate amongst yourselves. If you need to have a discussion amongst yourselves, please leave the chambers. So we're going to get started. The last Traffic Commission meeting, we committed to a 60-day trial period for this change on Sigourney and Derby. It has caused a lot of concern for residents on other streets, so we decided to revisit this after 30 days. So at the end of the meeting, we may make a motion to do something different. We may continue for the 60-day trial. We'll see how this goes. So I'd like to open the floor to people that think that the Sigourney-Derby change of direction has been a positive thing. And if you'd like to come up and speak, please take the podium, whoever. And this is for people who think the change has gone well and would like to keep it. And please press the button.
Hi, Adele Cataldo, 38 Sigourney Street, 40 years. Before I say anything, I want to shoot down some rumors that this is a Janino thing on Sigourney Street, because the other streets are saying that because the Janinos live on the street,
Okay.
it's not a thing.
Okay.
I'm not a Janino. Marion's not a Janino.
Okay.
Okay? So
We
this
understand.
is
That's
not
all.
a Janino
Okay.
thing. We have been fighting this. I'm there 40 years. For 40 years, my kids have never, ever once played outside. Not once. The traffic that we endure,
perfect.
a month is insane. So all of a sudden, everybody's here, and for 40 years, they're complaining for 30 days trial? Would they like it if they had to do it for 40 years? Marion, how many years are you, Marion?
Please direct your
38.
comments
Okay.
this way.
Joanne, 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're complaining for 30 days. 30 days. My China house shakes. My son's car was hit right on the bumper. The other car's license plate was in his bumper. So how fast do they drive up Sigourney Street? We fought for speed bumps. We lost that. This is not our first time here. So I understand how they feel, because we lived it for all these years. But where were they for the past 40 years when we came?
Okay, try not to direct your comments to the members of the audience.
It's not a negative comment. It's just, they're coming now for 30 days. Where were they when we were looking for help for 40 years? I think it's a positive thing. We have no more bus routes up our street. We have no more traffic. We have over 4,000 cars that come up our street a month, and we all have the ring, so it can be verified. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of these changes? Okay.
Hi, thank you for giving us this opportunity to even try for a couple of weeks. And if there's this much of an outpouring of people against this, what have we lived with for all that time? How bad is our street? People have been, my name is Joanne Janino, I live at 14 Sigourney Street. People have been directing this at my granddaughter, who has nothing to do with it. They're not picking on the 81-year-old lady who is responsible for this. I'm the one who got the petition, not my son, not my granddaughter. What are these people trying to do? If my name wasn't Janino, how would this be? Would it be different? What if my name was Agenzio? Do you think they'd be out there saying, oh, those Janinos got, the Agenzios got their street changed because it's Paul? It's not fair, and it's not right. And I don't think that they've given it a chance, and I think that I'm not really going to say too much because I was sick for 2 days. I cried for 2 days because of the nasty haters on Facebook putting all this awful stuff out there. And you know, on Facebook, they're very brave, but they can't come to your face and say, gee, Joanne, can we sit down and talk about this? But you know, when no one's there to confront you or answer, then you can say anything you want. And there are an awful lot of mean people in this city, and I have to tell you that. And I'm sorry that I had to find this out at 81 years old. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this? So if we could just keep our comments directed to the directional changes and how it's affected rather than speak about, you know, unpleasantries that have taken place.
All right, my name is Kelly Resendez. I live on the corner of Grover and Derby Street. My house basically faces Grover Street. The changes have been good for over our neighborhood. I have not, I mean, I told you last time we had the trash, the unbelievable trash we pick up every day. I've picked up needles in my neighborhood, right? I haven't had to pick up anything in our neighborhood. I understand that this has pushed some traffic some other ways, but like sorry, if Joanne said, and
Take it down.
they're just getting a little of what we've been dealing with for 27 years. I don't want anybody to get anything, but instead of fighting your neighbor, is it working? All we want is a little relief. Instead of fighting us, why don't we work together and try to relieve the whole neighborhood? As a matter of fact, I go up Route 1 every morning. People cut through I follow cars that go up Route 1. I mean, people from the other side of Revere are using our neighborhood for a cut-through to go up Route 1. How about putting an on-pass for Route 1 somewhere else? Like, Sargent Street only has a where you can come off. How about putting something over there that you can go on? And if it's really a problem, why don't we put a straight thing, like Mr. Giannino said, and keep everybody from cutting down Squire, so everybody has to go out of their way to get to Market Basket or whatever. Why make it more convenient for someone? What we have to deal with all the traffic to make it convenient for everyone else's life? Where is that fair? And we're fighting this because we're getting a Popeyes at the end of our street. Do you know how much traffic, more traffic? We're getting before we turn it around, 1,700 cars a day. Do you know how much more traffic that's going to bring to us? Uber Eats people parking in the neighborhood. I'm sure nobody in here wants that. Unless they want the Popeyes at the end of their street, and I'll gladly come here and fight for that for you. But I find it amazing also that we have this many people in this room right now, and not one person showed up to oppose Popeyes. But they're here to oppose their neighbors for just wanting some quality of life. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Yes, sir, come on.
Dan, 4018 Sigourney Street. I didn't think we would be back here this quickly, but, you know, I was at the first meeting. I did speak at the first meeting. I spoke about quality of life, safety. I'm back here today again because what I want to get across to everybody is in the first meeting, when we approved the 60 days, when it was approved, we discussed that had this had an adverse effect on other streets, that we would address those streets accordingly in the future. We wouldn't by any means reverse what we've already done. I understand what we had to do is we actually came here with data. We came here with data, we came here with a petition, right? If we were able to come in here and just complain and get the street turned around, then that's what we would have done. We never would have waited months and gotten everything signed. The point I'm trying to make is that exactly what we did is exactly what these other streets need to do. Turning around and saying, well, I want it back the way it was. Logically, that doesn't make sense. That's the easy way out. The way we're supposed to be doing this is addressing it as problems come up, not as turning it back around so that people, and the other issue I have is that if people are here because they want to complain about traffic on their street and safety concerns, by all means, everybody should be doing that because that's what we did. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. But if you're complaining because it's inconvenient for you to get to Market Basket, which is what people have said to me, you can't change somebody's compare somebody's quality of life to getting to Market Basket, not having to go around the Rotary. Because at the end of the day, I was a big proponent of this. I assisted Joanne with this, so I'll take the blame for it if that's what everybody wants me to do. But I can't even go up my own street no more. So it's just as inconvenient for me as it is for everybody else. So thank you for your attention, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
Hello, my name's Marion DeLuigi. I live at 64 Sigourney Street. You know what I found out? A lot of no traffic, no noise, no trucks, and you see kids playing outside. That's a quality of life for kids. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, Mary. Okay, and press the button and name and address.
Jessica Roach, 145 Derby Road. As you are aware, anyone where from 1,600 to 2,000 cars per day use Derby Road as a fast cut-through when exiting Northgate Plaza or coming off Squire Road. As the second house off on the road, my concern over the years is not only the traffic, but the rate of speed at which people take the turn since it's so soon after the light. As a mother of 2 small children, I've never felt safe with my children out front of the house until now. This is the first time my children have ever been able to get in the car on the street side. They usually have to go through on the sidewalk, which we have to park up on because of the safety issues at the rate of speed people take the turn. I understand that the Popeyes is going in. I understand that it's a done deal, and we've all accepted that, and we understand that. Our concern right now is our quality of life and our safety going forward. This is the first time the residents on my street have had their children, much like this woman just said, out front, on the front lawn, just being able to be kids, being able to chalk on the sidewalk. It's little things like that that I'm sure everybody else on these opposing streets have had the joy of feeling. And that's the first time I've gotten to witness my child, 9 and 6, be able to do it. I am really concerned about the rate of speed that people come out of Northgate Plaza, come out of Sigourney, come off of Squire Road, and will soon be coming out of Popeyes, all taking a very quick paced turn after a light. It's dangerous for us. We ask that our quality of life be taken into consideration and that everybody's safety, including our neighbors on opposing streets, get their streets looked at as well and see what can be done for them. I want to find a happy medium for everybody, but I just wanted to let you know how important it is to me that Ricky has done this trial and allowed my children to actually play in front of our house for the first time ever. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Domenica Reggio. I live over at 74 Grover Street for 8 years. My property is located on the corner of Derby and Grover Street. I'm here to be a voice for my 5-year-old son, Dimitri. Up until this street change, I've never felt comfortable going on walks with him because of the insane amount of traffic coming up Derby and Sigourney, and obviously there's not many sidewalks on Grover as well. We literally are between the busiest streets in West Revere. We are the streets that all residents of Revere and Chelsea and Everett use as a cut-through to Route 1 and Northgate for the last, 20 years? Living on the corner, you see it all, from accidents on the corner of Grover and Derby at least 1 to 2 times a month, a car actually landing on my front lawn, damaging my property, to a car running through a stop sign and ultimately running over and killing a dog. That could have been my child. This is a matter of public safety. My neighbors and I have to deal with this ever since we lived in our homes. This change was made as an effort to keep traffic away when Popeyes opens at the bottom of Derby and Squire Road. I understand that some streets are experiencing some more traffic, but I can promise you it's nothing compared to what we have dealt with and what we will have to deal with when Popeyes opens up. I don't know if we'll ever alleviate the traffic as a whole, but I do believe if we work together, we can create a system that is safe and preventative for what's to come when Popeyes opens. We have all experienced the initial days of this current street change and seen how difficult it was for people to adapt. Cones, street signs, and digital radars initially had absolutely zero effect on these changes, but slowly it worked. These changes and adjustments take time. Imagine having to adapt to this after Popeyes opens. It'll be much worse. I only want us to eliminate future issues when this high-volume business opens at the bottom of the street. And yes, it is high volume. I called Popeyes in Everett, and they get 800 to 1,000 tickets a day. So imagine as a drive-through what that's going to be like. Keep in mind, not only will Popeyes create more traffic, they will have third-party delivery services scrambling, looking for parking, and guess where they're going to park? Right on Derby Street, in front of someone's property or in front of their driveway, maybe even on their lawn. I also would like to say that it is extremely frustrating to my neighbors and I to read some of the comments on social media in regards to this. Most of the general public is so ignorant to the fact that this was done as a preventative measure to be prepared for the opening of Popeyes, which will directly affect us, but indirectly affect them. I'm sorry that it isn't convenient for you to go to McDonald's or Market Basket, but this helps us feel safe, and that is more important than a matter of convenience. The fact is, I'm here today because my family and I support the street changes, and I vote to keep them in place for a matter of public safety. Lastly, I was able to obtain records of all the accident reports from Derby and Sigourney. In the last 4 years, there have been 16 accidents recorded on Derby and 17 accidents on Sigourney. And that's not including what wasn't recorded. And it happens often when people smash into each other and they drive off. And I know firsthand because I've seen it. So thank you for your time, and I hope this works out for our best interest.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hi. Michelle Kelly, Derby Road. I've been a resident of Derby Road for over 25 years. And I'm not going to go over the problem that we're going to have with Popeyes, and that's going to exacerbate everything. But I do want to point out that this is absolutely negatively affecting our quality of life, our entitlement to quiet enjoyment as taxpayers. We pay taxes just like everybody else. If somebody else enjoys a quiet street, we should also be able to have that. When I voiced all of my concerns to my counselor, I was told, you know, what do I expect? I live next to a major highway. But all of these adjacent streets are next to that same major highway. I don't understand why one street in particular has to be the one to absorb all of the traffic, all of the trash, all of the noise, all of that congestion. And other streets that are just right off that major highway as well can act as though they're in a quiet side street in a quiet neighborhood. We shouldn't be the ones to absorb all of that negativity. And I don't want them to either, but I think, as someone else said, the solution here isn't for us to go back to where we were, but it's to try to figure out solutions for them so that they can have a good quality of life as well. I don't want anyone to be inconvenienced or experience what I've had to experience for the last 25 years. That's not what I want. And the other thing, having been a realtor for the last 15 years, our property values are definitely negatively affected by this. They are going to be even more depreciated by the opening of Popeyes. Popeyes was given a variance for parking. They do not have the amount of parking that they need to have. They don't have anywhere near the amount of parking that they need to have. If they're allowed to come down Derby Road, they're parking on Derby Road. The drive-through is going to back up. They're not going to be able to park in the parking lot, and they're going to use Derby Road. They're going to be parking in front of everyone's houses, driveways, and all of that. When they do a promotion, there's lines, there's people waiting outside for an hour to get their sandwiches and all this. This isn't just even like a McDonald's or a Taco Bell. It's going to have much more of an impact. And that's why we try to oppose it and say it wouldn't be a good fit for the neighborhood. I wish that a robocall, I understand a robocall went out last night about this. I wish that a robocall had gone out for Popeyes, and we could have had more people here opposing that. But be that as it may. I'd also like to point out that I was aware that 2 accidents occurred since the change, but neither one of those accidents were a direct result of the change of Derby Road. So Derby Road had no impact on that whatsoever. And again, I want to request that what was said at the last meeting is upheld, that we don't go backwards, we don't rescind this change and revert it back, but we come up with a solution for the other streets so that people are happy with this, and everyone has a right to enjoy their home, feel safe. We all pay the same amount of taxes. We should all be treated the same. We should all be treated fairly. And I hope that's what you decide to do tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Kelly, lifelong Revere resident, 25 years at 99 Derby Road. I just want to point out the fact that, we bought that place in '97. We were aware that it was a cut-through, okay, and it wasn't bad back then. Traffic was manageable. We could have lived with it, and we did. Fast forward to Market Basket going in, traffic increased at least 4 to 5 times what it was, okay? We soldiered on. We lived with it. Now we learn Popeyes is coming in, and it's a breaking point, because now we're going to have, like my wife pointed out, there's 8 parking spots for that restaurant. Clearly not enough. And we know that that parking is going to come to Derby Road if the traffic is flowing up from Squire, okay? So the neighborhood, the street got together, and we signed a petition. Everybody on the street signed the petition to reverse the traffic flow. You guys agreed to it. It's working, okay? Like everybody else that spoke before me said, we should be helping the other streets if they need help, not going back to what was, because we were getting 1,700 cars. When Popeyes opens, it's going to be a lot more. I pick trash up off of my lawn every day, 3 times a day for the last 20 years, and it's only gotten worse as days go by. When Popeyes opens up, and if that street is flowing from Squire Road, I can only imagine, I'll probably have to sell the house. We'll probably have to move, okay? So we're just asking that the relief that you gave us stays in place, and if other streets need relief, let's visit that and try to help them. Let's not go back to the way it was, because that's not going to solve anything. It's just going to make a lot of people unhappy, and it's going to make that street very unsafe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Press this in? Oh, it's all set?
It's all set.
Stephen Moscato, 105 Derby Road. We should all come to a solution instead of fighting. And maybe something like a do not enter from like 4 to 7, like at nighttime, like for the traffic, so it lowers it. And just work together. I mean, I had my car parked on the street when it was coming up, and it got rear-ended at about 50 miles an hour and totaled it. So, and another thing is, when they said about parking in front of Derby Road on our street, nobody took into fact about the karate studio, which about 10 cars parking there a day on the weekends. So once Popeyes is there, those cars will be right on Derby Road, because they don't park nowhere else. So that's another thing you gotta take in consideration too. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Sir?
Thank you. My name is Bob Palermo. I live on 115 Derby Road. And I grew up in that house, okay, and I'm living there now. So I remember when I was a youngster and I used to play in the streets, whether it be Sigourney and Derby, Gore, Orvis, we used to hang out there. And it was very different back then because the traffic certainly wasn't what it is today. I mean, it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get here from the South Shore today because I come from work. So if I'm a little winded, I apologize. But, I remember when the shopping center first opened and Sigourney Street was a two-way street. And my parents, along with the parents on Sigourney Street, petitioned to make that a one-way street so that people wouldn't come out of Northgate Shopping Center and shoot up Sigourney. And that was the right thing to do. However, the one-way street that we've got now, all of the traffic coming from Northgate essentially comes up Derby Road. And those red octagonal things at the end that say stop on them don't mean anything because they go right through them. Same thing on Sigourney. So I can tell you that I wholeheartedly endorse the plan that's been in effect now for a month?
Yep.
So it's been great. It prevents people from going through the stop sign. It's more inconvenient for me because I've got to go around to come up the street. but the traffic is better, okay? There's kids on the street, there's kids on the top of the street. People on the top of the street, there's a sign up there that says 45, not 25, okay? That's what it's come to for the residents to say, this is a problem. Somebody mentioned the trash. I can't tell you how much trash is out there. We talked about my neighbor here talking about the accidents on the street. It's been really bad. And I've lived it for my 30 or so years or more since this was a one-way street, and I'm probably off by that because the memory isn't what it used to be. But the traffic is brutal, okay? Popeyes is only going to make it worse. And, you know, I feel bad for the people on the other streets, whether it's, you know, Gore Road, or, Gore, or any of the other streets. I mean, Charge is a one-way street for the same reason, to keep people from shooting up at the shopping center to get down to Malden Street. So far, this works for us, okay? And I'd encourage the people, the residents on Gore Road, to probably talk about the direction that they want their street to go in, just like Orvis is. But right now, it's really unfair to have one street bear all of the burden for traffic coming out of Northgate Shopping Center.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Yes, ma'am.
Adele Cataldo, 38 Sigourney Street. I have a question for you. You've been on the street for a long time. Do you remember when Sigourney Street was the way it is right now with the
Ma'am.
change? Okay. The reason being, these people weren't here before. I had a neighbor next door to me, Salvatore and Mary Zaba. They were the first people to own a home
If you
on
could be brief-
Sigourney Street.
If you could be brief, you've
On
already
Sigourney Street.
spoken, so.
When they fixed Malden Street, they asked if they can use it to go up to Squire Road. They never gave it back.
Okay.
Now I
Thank
found
you.
somebody who realized. So the street was always the way we have it now.
Okay.
It was never that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Go ahead, sir.
How you doing? Robert Helfer, 94 Sigourney Street. I love the change. Now I can back out of my driveway without a fear of getting hit at 60, 70 miles an hour, because they used to fly up there, and the traffic is now almost next to nothing. Can actually sit outside and enjoy sitting on the porch instead of, 200 cars coming by. So I love it. Keep it the way it is. All right.
Thank you. Okay, so hearing that side of the hearing, would anyone else wish to, you want to speak, sir? Okay. If you want to speak now about the changes to the traffic direction that you're not in favor of? Okay, what's it?
Frank D'Angelo, 185 Romney Road. I just want to talk about Derby Road in behalf of someone I know there that lives in the lower half.
Okay.
And she likes this change right now.
Okay,
Because her children complain the street and it's more safe. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Yes?
One, I wanted to enter this petition into the record.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, Chief Bright, Chief Callahan, Commissioner Agenzio, Mr. Ister, and Sergeant. Oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry. For those who don't know me, my name's Deborah DiFilippo West. I'm a lifelong resident of Revere and reside at 70 Orvis Road. I'm here to speak against the Traffic Commission's decision regarding the reversal of traffic on Sigourney and Derby Road made in August. I'm speaking on behalf of my neighborhood. As my street, Orvis Road, is a one-way, we haven't, we fortunately we've only been impacted slightly by the traffic reversal. However, my friends and neighbors on Augustus and Gore Road have not been so fortunate. Both Augustus and Gore Road are two-way streets and have picked up all of these 4,000 or 1,700 cars have gone, to the left or right where they are. The commission's decision has resulted basically in resident-only traffic to both Derby and at Squire Road and Sigourney at Malden Street, all to the detriment of the surrounding streets. Studies have shown that reducing traffic on one street is counterproductive, as the traffic will simply be diverted to another street. The net result will be increased congestion and more problems overall. The majority of traffic on Derby and Sigourney, I don't believe is a cut-through street. It's our residents traveling to and from their homes, shopping, visiting friends, employees of our municipal and school departments accessing their jobs. While I sympathize with our neighbors and friends on Sigourney and Derby and respect their efforts to get the ball rolling on the traffic issue, I feel that the whole neighborhood should have been considered at this decision, as it has negatively impacted the remaining neighborhood. And I respectfully request that the Commission's August decision be reversed and that the city hire an engineer to evaluate and study the flow of traffic on all streets from Marshall Street to Patriots Parkway, so that any changes subsequently made will be in the best interest of the entire neighborhood and community. We do want to work together with everyone else. And, I just want to point out, I grew up on Newhouse Street. I've lived here all of my 61 years. I've never been able to ride my bike on my street. I, went to the school, went to the street behind me where my aunt lived. Went to Dr. Cataldo's parking lot when, on weekends or something like that. People on a highway understand that, we do pay the same taxes per square footage, but the property values, when you live on a highway and there's a commercial gas station or that, you are expected, the values are less, and, you knew what you were buying when you got there, the streets. And look at our neighbors on Charger Street. They're getting the impact of, the trash company down there, the DPW trucks that use it to go to their lot. I mean, they're getting as much as Sigourney Street. I don't know the numbers, but I would think that's equally. So, I mean, the residents of Charger are as important as the residents of Sigourney and Derby. And I just hope that that will be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, members of the Traffic Commission. I am Christine Robertson, and I reside at 187 Charger Street, one of the other through streets to across Squire Road. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Argenzio for his kindness when he was as director of the DPW, because during the winter, you often send the snowplows down with the blade turned to the left. We live on the odd side of the street, so the blades are always turned to the right, and I can't tell you how many times we've gotten plowed in after I've shoveled 6 and 7 times, so thank you. Now to the matter at hand. I reside at 187 Charge Street, one of the only through two ways from Malden Street to Northgate's northeast side of North Squire Road, Sigourney, which is the main entrance to Northgate Shopping Center, and Charger to the commercial end of Charger Street. They both have been the only through ways for more years than I can remember. Since the division of Sigourney Street, the traffic on Charger Street has increased tenfold on a daily basis. We deal with trash trucks, and not just on trash day. City trucks, city heavy equipment, 18-wheelers, FedEx, UPS, Amazon, U.S. Postal Service trucks and Jeeps, school buses, tow trucks, along with the never-ending automobile traffic that was before the changes were made. It has gotten so bad that I had to remove the blinds off my windows because they were shaken off their brackets due to the vibration of the trucks and automobile traffic. With the tremendous increase in traffic due to the changes, there are days that it takes 4, sometimes 5 light cycles for us to get in and out of our driveway. We live 120 feet from the traffic light, and there is constant backup on the street. Believe me, people are less than kind when we are trying to get in or out of our driveway. People curse, give us the middle finger salute, blow their horns, and all we're trying to do is use our driveway. I have asked both the city and the state to reevaluate the light cycle at the corner of Squire Road and Charger Street, as it only lets 4 or 5 cars travel northeast when the light is green. I have asked multiple times for the LED speed box to be placed on Charger Street. You don't want to step off the pathway if the light is green. You'll get killed. You can hear them rev their engines halfway up the street to beat the light, and many go right through that red light. Perhaps a speed table should be placed on Charger Street to help slow down the speeding on the street. I have requested for slow signs to be posted, that a car counter, just decibel levels and emission levels, be done at this intersection, to no avail. It was said that the state is only concerned with the flow of traffic on Squire Road. Does anybody know what's going on? I guess the neighborhoods that are impacted by these changes are just supposed to live with this insanity and not be able to enjoy the sanctuary of their homes. We are hardworking human beings and taxpayers. It seems that has been forgotten. Are we all just chopped liver? There is a designated trucking route in this city. It is Route 107 to Route 60 and/or Route 1 to Route 60. Why is this not enforced and utilized? In the city ordinances updated June 2020, Schedule 4 of Title 10, Chapters 1024, Sections 102430 and 102440, for restricted streets, Charger Street is noted as a restricted street. Therefore, heavy commercial vehicles as well as other heavy vehicles should not be using this street. I have repeatedly asked for the no truck signs that are posted on the corner of Malden Street and Charger Street, as well as the corner of Rumney Road and Charger Street, to be enforced. I was told that these signs are just a suggestion and not sanctioned by the state. Does that mean all signs are just a suggestion? Please help me to understand why a simple sign cannot be enforced, but a major change in the flow of traffic for both Sigourney and Derby Road can be enforced without state approval. How can that be? I have asked multiple times that the dip on Squire Road at the Charger Street Squire Road intersection be repaired. When trucks take a left turn from the light on Squire Road to the commercial end of Charger Street, there is a depression in the road. That's when the trucks hit it, there is a very large bang noise from the trucks, especially when they have not tied down their dumpster or empty truck bed. This is heard at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, as all throughout the entire day. For every action, there is a reaction, and we, the residents of Charge Street, are bearing the brunt of the reaction of this traffic flow change by enduring more traffic, noise, and congestion on our street. Seems everything is a catch-22. The city and the state point fingers at each other with the attitude, not my job, and nothing gets done. Is there no peace for us that live in this area? I have spoken with many city officials and have written to state officials as well. No one seems willing to help the citizens of this area. If there are applications to be made to the state to help alleviate some of the traffic issues, please complete them and submit them. I am asking you as members of the Traffic Commission to give your neighbors on Charger Street some relief. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I empathize with every single person that live on these off streets, because we've been dealing with this for 42 years. So God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
I'm kind of quiet. I hope I'm loud enough.
Okay.
Tim Scanlon, 62 Charger Street. You did a good job on that. You hit all my points. Another thing I would suggest, Chief, is you get a police car or a crossing guard at the intersection of Charger Street and Rumney Road when the kids are going to school. We have every child that walks to school from the apartments across the street traversing that road, morning and afternoon. And, you know, they'll walk together with 4 or 5 of them, and they won't even be looking. And there's a big white fence there, so a car pulling up there does not see them. If you look on Rumney Road, those skid marks are from people stopping from hitting before they hit a kid. It's that close. Second thing, Charger Street is horrible right now. I mean, my neighbor had a GoPro camera out there. One day there was 3,200 cars on one day. That's crazy. I always thought that it wouldn't be that bad with Sigourney Street. I admire and I condone the actions with the other road, Derby Road there, because that was horrendous. I mean, I own a cleaning company, for crying out loud, and I get down the street there and I said, geez, I could fill up a 55-gallon drum with just 4 houses, you know? I always thought there should be an intersection where Patriot Parkway and Squire Road meet, going across, because that's Macoba Street there. Mm-hmm. Right now, Charger Street has always got the lion's share of the business that's going to BJ's coming down Charger Street. I don't know if that's something that's even feasible to do, but Patriot Parkway is wide enough. It's a parkway. It's 2 ways. Once again, the problem is the cars speeding. I know what she's saying. They come speeding right by my house too. It's 62 Charger Street, and I'm just on the other side of, you know where I live, mm-hmm. Right on the other side of Rumney Road there. That's about it. She stole my thunder, but that's okay.
Thank you very much.
No, that's all right. You were more aggravated than I was. I've
Thank you,
only
sir.
been there for 33, so. All right, thank you, and
Thank you,
have a
sir.
good night.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
How you doing? Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Thank you. I've been in Augusta Street.
Your name and address, please.
Billy Reed, 57 Augusta Street. I've been there for 42 years, and my wife 64 years. Since we've been there, I have no idea why Augusta Street is two-way. And now this change is good for everybody concerned. But now since this change, I feel bad because I want everybody to feel comfortable with their children going outside. But ever since this change, Augusta Street is 10 times worse. And I'm worried about kids going out trick-or-treating on my street. And we get a lot of, little children. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, a question for you, sir. Is this a single, as in the last meeting, the August 18th meeting, it was a single vote for both issues. Is this bifurcated, one vote for rescinding Sigourney and one vote for rescinding Derby?
Well, there's no statement that there's going to be a motion to rescind anything tonight.
Okay.
We're here to listen to everyone, and then the will of the commission. If they want to make a motion, we can make a motion in any direction we want. We can keep it as it is. We can do one street, not the other. There's several things that we can do. We're not bound by anything. So.
Okay, very good. Well, that helps me tailor my comments. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Gennaro Cataldo. I am a resident of 35 Augusta Street, homeowner of 140 Derby. Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank you and the members. I have a short statement to read, please. And the members of the Traffic Commission for holding this meeting tonight. I ask through you that a member of this commission motion to rescind the actions taken for both Derby Road and Sigourney Street. The redirections have impacted all cross streets between Squire Road and Malden Street, from Derby to Washington Avenue. The reasons for my request are as follows. First, the traffic counts performed by the Traffic Division studied portions of 3 streets, less than 1/3 of our entire neighborhood. Augusta Street southbound for 6 days, 1,660 cars per day. This was before the change. Derby Road, southbound, same direction, for 7 days, averaging 1,585 cars per day. In other words, the same amount of traffic on both Derby and Augustus. Sigourney, northbound for 7 days, averaging 4,228 cars, quite a few. However, there are 11 streets from Marshall to Charger, including Grover, which traverses all 10. This is all the data we have. Second, if this change is to be considered, I propose that the city fund a thorough study performed by a civil engineering firm with expertise in the subject matter. Simply stated, we need professionals to study the issue, analyze the traffic patterns, and work with city officials and a resident committee to propose a solution that is fair to everyone in the room, to this community. We have over 200 homes in this area, several hundred families impacted by this effort. Third, the state needs a voice, quite simply stated. Per MassDOT officials that I have spoken to, local committee actions that alter traffic patterns on state roads must be vetted by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation before any action is taken by the community. The change impacting Augustus, Derby, Orvis, and Charger, the highly impacted streets, has changed Squire Road traffic patterns. Finally, the tested path, and this was a test, as stated in the last meeting, to cross Squire Road from Malden Street is now Augustus and Grover. So you come up Augustus, take a right on Grover, and then finally down Sigourney, the lower end of Sigourney. Thousands more cars are using the zigzag pattern as a cut through to Squire Road and Northgate. That's simply not fair to and unduly burdening and dangerous to the residents of these streets. The residents of Augustus Street seek immediate relief and ask that you rescind these actions. Mr. Chairman, through you to the members, I want to thank you. I would like to also mention that if these are taken as one vote and not two separate votes, as a homeowner on Derby Road, I rescind my name from the petition that was stated to turn that street around, as I had signed it as a homeowner of 140 Derby Road. Otherwise, I remain in favor of it. Respectfully, we need to do something for everyone in our community. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Sure.
How you doing? Steve Suda, 213 Grover Street. I'm in opposition to this. Quite frankly, I'm at the dead end. I walk my dog, my wife and I, between 5:30 almost every single morning. Beforehand, all we had to worry about was a stop sign at the end of Sigourney and Grover Street. Worry about people blowing through that, so I understand what they were going through. But now we have to worry about Grover Street. I have to worry about Augustus, Pemberton, Stevens, Keeney, and Marshall. Sigourney Street was a one-way street. All these 5 other streets are two-way streets now. So now you want to talk about danger up Sigourney and the speed of that. Now people are making the same fast right or left off of Malden Street onto these side streets that are two-way streets and aren't as wide as Sigourney. Secondly, I have to be in fear of no sidewalks on Grover and walking my dog with my wife with people getting hit. Today, around about 2:45 p.m., walking the dog, people getting out of school. There is so much traffic on Grover now. It used to be a quiet neighborhood, and now all of a sudden it's extremely dangerous. People walking behind, people blowing red lights, stop signs, whatever it may be. And why is it that people at Charger didn't get any thought? There's no stop sign at the end of Grover where Charger meets. And the people of Sigourney that get from the left side all the way to Squire Road, they still have to deal with people flying down that to beat the red light. So one half of a street is being incentivized while 5, 6, 7 other streets are now being, whatever the word may be, I just drew a blank. But now everyone is going through issues when one half of a street now gets to live the life and sit back and relax while everyone else is going through hell. I get it. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe there's no traffic, but I support the study, a further study of it to figure out what it may be. But we've negatively impacted a community that was once quiet, and now it's far worse. So there was a head-to-head collision on Augustus a couple weeks ago. So we want to talk about 4 years, 16 accidents. There's been 1 accident in 30 days. Do the math. Within a year, we're gonna quadruple that in 4 years. So that's where I stand with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Denise Salemi, 159 Gore Road, Revere. I concur with everything that Gennaro Cataldo said, and Christine Robinson, great job. As a former city councilor for that ward, I totally understand the impact that these streets have all endured over the course of the last years. I've lived on Gore Road for 42 years. It's been a two-way for 42 years, so we get traffic from Malden and we get traffic from Squire. But since this change has been made, it has just exacerbated the whole situation. Gore Road's become like the Indianapolis 500. When I was on the city council, there were a lot of stop signs that I had inputted on Grover Street because there are no sidewalks on Grover Street, and it's off of all those side streets, and that's been impacted too. The only way I can get off my street without going to Squire Road is I have to go up to the stop sign and take a right onto Grover. There's blind spots going from that point all the way down to Sigourney Street with either hedges that are not trimmed, fencing, overgrown trees. The fabric of this whole neighborhood from Augustus, Marshall, all the way up to Charger Street is wonderful. And it's all been adversely impacted over the years, but now with this change, I empathize with everybody in this, but there's got to be a better change because right now, I just can't even explain to you the traffic coming up our street. Stop signs, people have no respect for them. They don't stop at all. Now, when I say, oh, people come up our street 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, people say that's insane. Well, it's not. Since you put that traffic machine at the toll or whatever you want to call it, the traffic count that says you're exceeding this speed, it's deterred them from going over the 40 miles per hour. But I've seen it registering, because I can see it from my house, 40, 43, 44, and I'm sure it has a counter on it. You can see it. These are all nice neighborhoods here with all young children. So there's got to be a better solution to this. I will say one thing. I love the speed bump on Cushman Ave. If you could go ahead and implement those all up there, that would be a major deterrent to all this traffic, because they're all using it for a cut-through. That's all they're doing. They only have one thing on their mind, me, myself, and I. Let me get to my point of destination, and the heck with everybody else. So there's got to be a better solution, and right now, I don't like the way it is, because I'm telling you right now, I can't even back out of my driveway. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Emil Salemi, on 159 Gore Road. I'm just stating what I've seen as far as after this change. I've been in the neighborhood for 42 years. 3 of my children have grown through all the school systems and everything. Wife being on the city council, I got to know the whole city. The one-way that happened overnight, you fix a problem on one-way streets, and that problem goes to another street. In this case, it was Gore Road. Traffic on my street has increased 10 times just in the last month. And after they leave everything going down one way to Squire, they're coming up our street, rerouting, and it's just not fair to us. Early morning and late in the afternoon, being retired, I'm able to see this. When I was working, I didn't even know what was happening during the day. I don't like what I see. Early in the morning, late in the afternoon, when the traffic is either going to work or coming home, they're all using our street, going at least 38, 45 miles per hour. They're heading towards the stop sign. One morning, I called Ricky, our Ward 6 counselor. I came out just to put the trash on the side of the road. I wasn't even on the street. This one SUV rounded Squire, came up Gore at least 45 miles per hour, went on the opposite side of the street where I was at, almost hit me, and continued at a rate of speed of at least 45. And having that speed sign out there, I know that person was doing 45 miles per hour. Went through the stop sign, not stopping, and continuing all the way to Malden Street. I said, there's an accident waiting to happen. I feel for everybody that's over here. They all have legitimate reasons why the change should or shouldn't be. I see it on Gore Road. I know that everybody does want safe streets. But after this change that happened, I have never seen so many slow children signs come up on telephone poles, and they even have the cones in the middle of the streets trying to protect their children. I understand there's children all throughout the whole city, and we're just one other street, but we are the only two-way street that gets impacted by everything that all these one-ways that have came down is subjecting us to that whole flow. The traffic, I bet you, is at least 10 times what it normally is. As far as the only thing I can actually say is I can hear all the complainings, as well as what I'm saying that I'm seeing on my own street. Drivers, not signs, do not stop at the stop signs. They do not slow up at all for any of the streets. You can have your child in the street. I'm afraid to even come out of my driveway. I've told my daughters and my wife, all 42 years almost. It's always been this way, and now it's even 10 times worse. I refuse to go out of my driveway and go to Squire Road because the traffic on Squire Road will kill me. They don't respect, and having that additional lane on the right, it's suicidal. I don't care what you say. So I go out of my way and go up Gore, take a left. I do go down Charger. I do hit that road. And the only reason, I have a stoplight. It gets me to Market Basket. It's the only way I can get to Market Basket. I don't mind the inconvenience. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Okay.
I get trash in my yard every single week, all from McDonald's. I pick it up. I'm constantly, trash day, I'm constantly just throwing it in my rubbish. I feel bad, Popeyes, that's gonna get worse. I'm not gonna say it isn't. But the drivers are causing all these problems. If you want the problem to actually be solved, why don't you change the drivers' bad habits? Because they're the ones that are causing all this problem. You get them off doing the right way, not speeding, stopping at the stop signs, respecting the other people that own these homes. All I'm asking is get it back to what it was.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Sue.
I'm back. So, do I do name and address again?
Please.
Assunta Newton, 80 Lincoln Street. I'm here representing my parents who live on Augustus Street. So, do we have the numbers on the speed sign that's on Augustus? Do we have that data yet? I know it hasn't been there that long, but.
The sign hasn't been up long. There's a few numbers here for the last week. We couldn't get a complete survey because there wasn't enough time.
Okay, so up to 2,300 cars a day. How many? 2,300.
2,300.
As opposed to the 1,600 originally. But that was on the other side of the street, so I'm not sure that's an accurate comparison. But just anecdotally, a week after this change happened, I happened to run into someone that was at this meeting, and he said, "Oh, so how's the change going?" And I said, "Well, I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad." It is not twice as many cars. It's 3-4 times as many cars, specifically going by on the Malden side of Augustus. Because not only is it the people that live on Augustus that would normally use Augustus, it's also the people that would normally use Sigourney, and it's also the residents of Sigourney and Derby because they have no other way to get home. They have to go up one of these other side streets. And the speed, as everyone has been saying, the speed is unbelievable. If everyone's going up Sigourney, cutting over up Augustus, cutting over to get down to the other end of Sigourney, they're angry. They get faster because they have to cut around. So if they were doing 40 on Sigourney initially, they're trying to go up 45, 50 to get where they were in the same amount of time, to wait at a red light. Then my other point is the quality of life. As I said last time, you can't take 1 or 2 streets individually. The whole area has to be looked at once. Because as we've seen, and people feel very strongly, everyone in this room feels strongly that the entire area is getting out of control in terms of people cutting through and speeding, and everyone's in agreement on that. But they all need to be addressed as one. Taking 1 or 2 at a time is only, we can't make this change on all those streets because there's no other way to get onto Grover Street except by one of these side streets. So it's not like you can say, well, they're all going to be going down off of Grover. How are we going to get to Grover? It's just not sustainable to keep doing this and moving the problem to your neighbors and moving it to the next set of neighbors. And it's just not something that is sustainable. It's not safe. And it's not helping the quality of life for the entire neighborhood. That's all.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak? Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Salah Isho. I'm living at 52 Augusta Street for 12 years. So I'm here to oppose, the decision that was decided on August 18. That doesn't mean I am not, with this, I call them neighbor because, we are facing the same problem. I'm here just to request, plan that work for everybody, not just Sigourney or Derby. Works for Augusta Street. Because now, on Augusta Street, it's double way. So now we are getting 10 times what we were getting before. And I have 3 kids at school. My oldest son has to pick up his youngest son from school, and they have to come up through Malden and go, to Augusta Street. I'd be shaking at work until my son called me at 3 o'clock, Dad, we are home. So that's... Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak? Sir.
My name is Johnny Perez. I live at 73 Augusta Street, right on the corner of Grover and Augusta Street. I'm just basically going to say a lot of things that they said. Augustus and Grover should not be two-way. I work from home. I sit there with cameras on the entire time. I see the school bus have to back up to take a right onto Grover to then have to go on Sigourney. I see the fire trucks backing up, the oil trucks backing up, because since it's a two-way, people are coming this way from Grover, they're coming up from Augustus, and then you have cars coming up from Squire to cut over, and then you have cars cutting over through Augustus to go to Squire. So I'm all for, everybody wanting this change, and I understand that it's busy for a lot of people and they want it to be safe, but pushing the problem off to another street isn't really going to solve this issue. I personally believe I don't have the answers, but every single street in that area should just be a one-way. I don't understand why Grover's a two-way, Augustus is a two-way, the other streets are a two-way. It just doesn't make any sense. And the speed, I'll feel free to anyone in here, I'll give you 24/7 live, camera of that corner. Chris Giannino, we put the four-way stop in there, and even after the four-way stop, we still had accidents because cars just do not stop. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. You look at the camera video, one of the biggest offenders is the DPW trucks that just blow through there without even stopping. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? We're going to give... just press the button, sir, and name and address.
Hi, I'm Gennaro Cataldo, also his son, his grandson. We've been here a very long time.
Okay.
I have a question, just really quick. I see you guys do an amazing job. 4 people working on the entire city's worth of traffic patterns and everything. What I would like to know is we're all sitting here complaining to you about 2 separate proposals. Do we do more of the same? Do we keep it the way that you guys change it to? All these wonderful things. If Sigourney and Derby, and the people who were Sigourney and Derby, want to get together with Augustus and Grover and Charger and all these different streets, why don't we come together with a better solution? Let's come together instead of complaining to you guys and going, we want this, we want more of the same. Let's get together, the residents who have been here forever, put together a proposal for them to make a decision on. Wouldn't that be better? Let's get together. Let's figure it out ourselves without complaining. Let's do that.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to? Ma'am.
Hello. Laura Haneo, 58 Augusta Street. So I just want to say I have a young daughter, and I like to take her for walks or drives, during the day, and I can't even feel comfortable doing that. Backing out of the driveway, a car almost hit us. I can't feel comfortable taking my little daughter out of the house. It's not an inconvenience for me, the change. It's a hazard at this point. So I'm not asking you to revert the change, sir, that you made last meeting, but hire an engineer, make it better for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak? Sure.
Sorry, Bob Palermo from 115 Derby again. I've been sitting here listening to this, and, I really sympathize with the folks on Gore and Augustus and Derby and Sigourney, and, there's a problem out here, but I don't think it needs to be one solution. And I think the gentleman that was up here earlier said that. I don't think it needs to be everything on Derby, everything on Gore, everything on Augustus. I mean, somebody said, make all the streets a one-way going down so that you can't come up the streets. That would be a solution. But we shouldn't make this a kind of a not in my backyard type thing. Said, well, we don't want it on Gore, Derby, and Derby said, well, we don't want it on Derby. We never said make it Gore. So we said that we just wanted our street to be a one-way street. Now, it had impacts, obviously. So we've got to look at those impacts and find out what's going on. And I would encourage the people from Gore and Augustus to make this a one-way street, propose making this a one-way street the same way as Derby. I think that would solve a lot of the problems. Do I know it's going to answer all the problems? No. But I would certainly be interested in trying that, even for a short period of time, and see how that works out. I think everybody would be happy. I think the whole neighborhood is messed up right now, traffic-wise. And like I said, there's a lot of things that were said here that it's hard to dispute. I mean, the problems with the stop signs, the problems of speeding up the streets, the volume of traffic is just increased dramatically. And, somebody said, it's great for us to come up here and say, you guys solve our problem. Unfortunately, I think that's the answer. Because putting everybody together, it's going to be the folks on one side are going to say, we don't want it, and the other guys are going to say, we don't want it, and we're probably not going to get anywhere unless you do a small group of people in order to do it. But I would encourage the counselors here to consider more than one solution. And I'd encourage the people on Gore to look at a solution that solves their needs and then see how that works out. So
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Since everyone's going back up, I guess a rebuttal to that. I mean, if you change Gore or Augustus, you're only throwing the problem to Keeney or Lanton Road. I mean, we don't want to affect our neighbors one street at a time. That's
Okay.
why we suggested from Patriots Parkway to Marshall.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, okay. So has anyone that hasn't spoken? Okay.
My name is Brian Cadigan. I live on Lanton Road. And since the changes to Augustus, Keeney, and all those other streets, Lanton Road has gotten more, okay? Gore has gotten more. I think what we're missing here between the Augustus people, the Sigourney people, is we need a comprehensive study, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is we need better enforcement of those stop signs. I lived on Marshall Street for 15 years. I can tell you how many cars went right through the stop signs. Marion can tell you. Everybody can tell you. The Sigourney intersection at Grover is probably the worst intersection of this city. Okay? And to sit here, and I know Derby, atrocious. Okay? It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the people on Gore, Lanton, and Patriots Parkway. We need a comprehensive study. Rather than sticking a Band-Aid here and a Band-Aid there, we need data. And when you make the decision, it should be a public hearing just like this. But we need data. 2,300 cars going down Derby or going up Sigourney, that's ridiculous. You need the numbers, and then you make an informed decision. That's it.
Thank you, sir. So, okay, if you want a question, okay. Because I think we kind of get the...
Would you guys contact to get an on-ramp because like I said, from Chelsea to the Circle, there is no other way to get on Route 1. So would that be something you would do? Is that something I can contact to have done?
Well, that's something you probably want to bring up to the state delegation. Putting an on-ramp would be Herculean task, I think, and quite expensive. So that's something that has to come from the state. So that would
Because
be,
that's where a lot of our traffic is coming from. People are cutting through to go to Route 1.
right, I understand that, right? You're 100% correct. But that's a major change, and that's something that would have to come from the state level.
So it's something we'd have to contact the state for.
Yes.
And
your
is there a
state-
department that I would contact for
Well,
that?
your representatives and what have you, that's a good place to get started.
Ricky?
Well,
Steve?
Yes.
Jessica? Jessica?
yes,
All right, that's all I had.
no problem. Okay, so I think anyone that hasn't spoken, because I think we pretty much have the gist of this.
I think we have to hear from all the Gennaros.
I think so.
It wouldn't be complete.
Right.
Okay? And, you know, obviously I sympathize with everybody.
So your name and address,
Oh,
just.
Gennaro Cataldo. I live on Washington Ave. And I absolutely love going down Sigourney Street to get over to Market Basket. And when I can't do that, now I have to go all the way to Conan Street to get to Market Basket. Okay? Wouldn't it be great if we couldn't get to Market Basket? If both of those lights stopped traffic from entering into Squire Road. And then you could have two-way traffic on every one of the streets and stop people from going down and getting into the Squire Road area. So that, to me, seems to be, everybody's complaining about the two-way street, but the problem's not there. The problem is going on to Squire Road. So let's stop it at Squire Road. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone that hasn't spoken? Yes, sir.
Louis Penta, 110 Orvis Road. I tend to agree with most of the last few comments that I think we need to look at this as a whole issue of the entire community, because it's not just getting to Squire Road, it's getting off Squire Road. Everyone who comes off Route 1 from the Circle by the movies knows that that light into Market Basket backs up. What do people do? They take rights onto Augustus, they take rights on to get off Squire Road. So this isn't just about getting to Squire Road and getting across it, it's about getting off of it. So what do we do? I don't know, and I'm pretty sure that most people in here obviously have themselves in mind, and I think that we do need a third-party commission to probably look at this and decide what's right for the entire community, because what was done just shifted the burden, and reverting it back isn't really the right thing either, because there's a serious problem that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, you haven't spoken. Go ahead.
So I live on Washington Avenue.
Name and address, please.
619 Washington Avenue.
And push the mic down towards you.
Mary Gandolfo, 619 Washington Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I can feel for everybody with their pain. I live on Washington Ave, guys. Let me tell you, we have double, triple what you've been through. It's constant. We have huge trucks. We have landscape trailers. Nobody slows down. They speed all day and night. They do whatever they want. No one stops them. No one tickets them. Nobody stops them. They have to be stopped. They're dangerous. Okay, so I feel your pain, let me tell you. But I also, I don't see many speed signs on these side streets you're all discussing. I don't even know if I saw one. You need that, first of all. The other thing is, I don't want further traffic on Washington Ave. Please have some sympathy for us too. We're all in this together. We're your neighbors too, trust me. But I need a safe route, and my senior friends need a safe route to get from our area on Washington Ave and those streets near me to Market Basket, which we transverse, you know, all the time, which most people shop there. It's a better price. Where you gonna go? I just want a safe route. And, you know, then coming home, going down several streets more now, in the summer, 100 degrees, my food sweating in the back of my trunk. I mean, this is not the answer. We do need a professional traffic study, but I want you to include Washington Ave. And I really don't want to see a committee. I want it done professionally by the city and a professional traffic consultant who's really good, not just any old whatever. Some are better than others. But the thing is, it's a problem, I understand. But I'm gonna say this, and you know, some people don't agree with it, and it's 100% one of the big problems we have. The more you build, the more cars are gonna come. So, I'm sorry, Revere, stop building, because we can't be the housing administrator for the whole state. We've done our share. And this is part of the problem. Whatever change you make, whatever you do, has a ripple effect. It affects someone or something, or it affects the schools, it affects how many police you need, how many fire. We're building up in Suffolk Downs. Do you think that traffic is never going to Demoulas?
We want to keep
Trust
this,
me.
okay.
Let's stop building, okay? And that will help relieve and not make it worse. We've done a lot, and we've done our share. The other thing is, I really don't know why Popeyes was allowed to go there in the first place. I'm not going to ask the question, but for all this commotion, because of one store opening up a restaurant, it just seems like it should have never happened, honestly. But we have to care about the residents. I think the residents care about each other, but I want the city and I want the councilors to all fight more for our residents. You have to fight. You can't just say, yeah, that's good, he wants this, I'm gonna let it go through. You know, people need things, and they need happiness too, and they need their children safe. So the whole thing works together, and we have to be careful what we do and what changes we make, what restaurants and things we let in the city and everything. It all affects everything. Now, the other thing is, I think everyone needs to respect everyone in the situation, and I like to be respected too. I just want that out there, that I do want to be respected.
All right,
If I
ma'am.
have a complaint or a question or something, you know, I just want to be respected. The other thing is, please include Washington Ave in any study that there is. You know, a lot of my neighbors work so hard. They couldn't be here tonight. It's a 5 o'clock meeting. The city hall doesn't get out till 5 o'clock. You couldn't find a parking spot anyway.
Okay.
But, so, believe me, we're all talking about it, and people are very upset. It's not good.
Okay,
The
ma'am.
first day, I didn't even know what street to go down. I saw the sign, I turned, and then you turn partially on Sigourney. I said, well, I have to obey the rules. I went down some street. I ended up near Squire Road, and I'm like, well, there's no traffic coming. I can fly across 2 lanes to get to that left turn of Market Basket, and maybe not kill myself. But I didn't
Okay.
know where the hell I was going, to be honest. I don't get out on those side streets.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone that hasn't spoken? Okay. Everyone all set? Oh, Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for having this special meeting of the commission after 30 days versus the 60. I appreciate, too, through you, all the residents that have come out and spoken. One thing before I get into the situation, I just want to talk about the Popeyes for 1 second, because that seems to be the catalyst, or people think that seems to be the catalyst. The Popeyes was allowed there by special permit for the drive-through. The use of the Popeyes, the use of the land, and I apologize, I know this is not relevant, but it does tie
It has
in.
come up quite a few times.
So the use was by right. That has been, obviously, that was a honeydew before. It was a restaurant years and years ago, apparently. The use was by right. What the special permit did was allow the drive-through. Now, part of that plan, the Popeyes agreed to close off access to Derby Road. They didn't have to do that. Any other development that would have gone there would not have had to do that. They probably might not have done that. So the Popeyes that's going there, they will not be able to, the access will only be on and off Squire Road. Relative to parking, there was a variance for parking. However, they can add additional parking spaces. The thought process behind taking away 2 of the spaces on the side of the building were that the residents, the neighbors, I understood, wanted plantings and stuff. And so if the parking is an issue, the Popeyes can revert that back, and there will be, I think, 2 or 3 additional parking spots on their property, not on Derby Road. But that was the thought process behind that. Now, that being said, the Popeyes issue aside, Derby Road, as I said in the last meeting, I think the main culprit of the increase of traffic was the market basket. That's the common denominator among, I mean, the traffic on Derby, it's Northgate and the market basket. Sigourney, it's people going to Northgate or to Route 1 North, as was stated. Obviously, the Popeyes could add, we'll add more cars to the neighborhood. There's no dispute there. But I don't think that that's the be-all, end-all, nor was it the cause of everything. I would like to see, especially Derby Road, remain as it is, as it stands today, as we said in the last meeting, and try to figure out how we can move forward addressing Gore Road's concerns. And I understand, we learned, if we learned anything from this 30-day trial, is that if we were to make Gore Road a do not enter from Grover to Squire Road, that's just going to push the cars to Lantern Road, and then we would have to, turn Lantern Road around, and Charger Street would be, Charger Street is going towards Squire Road, so I'm talking about Gore Road particularly. So I don't know what the answer is. I've been searching for weeks. Obviously, my phone has been ringing off the hook. Yours has too. I want what's best for Sigourney Street, Derby Road, and all of the surrounding streets. I understand, I don't take into account I shouldn't say that, but I don't necessarily take into account the calls that I got from Ward 6 residents who don't live on those streets, but who were, quote, inconvenienced. I'm specifically talking about people who live on these streets that are directly impacted. So I think the traffic study, a real traffic study, not just, in theory or, because I know at least at the state level, they always say a study and then it never pans out. But a concrete study that shows an impact of all the streets from Marshall Street to Patriot Parkway, and how traffic flows on those streets to and from Squire Road, and what can be recommended. Because I also know Charger Street too. I sympathize that because of the lights, Charger and Sigourney are the only 2 streets with lights, that this particularly has not only impacted Augusta Street, but has put a lot more cars going down Charger Street. I spoke with a gentleman earlier today who lives on the corner of Grover and Charger, and he had mentioned to me that, and I didn't even realize this, so shame on me, there is not a stop sign on Grover Street at the intersection of Grover and Gore. So now where the Perrazos live, where people are coming up, not only are they blowing the stop sign, but there isn't a stop sign at Grover and Gore, on the Grover Street side, as people are going parallel on Grover Street. So I think that's something separate we should look at, but.
Well, that's something that's easily cured, so we can. Okay.
And I think the main issue, and I had spoken to the chief about this earlier too, is the speed. Obviously, it's not just the volume of cars on these streets, but it's the out-of-control speed. And I think, we definitely need to figure out a way to better enforce, and I know the council has talked about it a lot. This has been an issue all across the city, but especially on these streets. People are just ignoring stop signs, blowing right through them, as you've heard. So if there's a way, when we figure out what the answer is, like I said, I don't have the answer, but to at least in the meantime get more speed enforcement to try to slow people down and deter them. So with that, like I said, I would like to see Derby Road, at least for the time being, remain. Sigourney Street, it is a bit more difficult because it is the only, you're forcing everyone down Augustus and then turning right. And as somebody said, people are already angry and they're speeding up. And it's, I think it makes more sense, at least for now, that we keep Sigourney because of the traffic light, and for that reason only.
Okay.
So again, I've let you guys, discuss amongst yourselves, but like I said, I've searched, I want to try to make everybody happy, and I've learned I can't do that. But I do appreciate, I appreciate the calls, I appreciate everyone's input, and I'll let you guys talk, so thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. So I want to, okay, press the button.
Can the city put up a camera, and I'm not sure if this works, but can you take a picture of a license plate and give them a ticket for not stopping on a stop sign or for speeding? And can you tell me why they can't?
No,
I'm wondering why.
it's not,
I'm sorry?
yeah, you can't do it based off a camera.
Well, maybe the legislature should change that, because if we had to click a picture when they don't stop and when they're speeding, you just send them a ticket. They won't want to get too many of those.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. So I just want to say I appreciate how this meeting has gone. Everyone, spoke their 2, 3, 4 minutes, and everyone was very respectful to each other. So I really appreciate how the meeting went. We certainly have a problem here. I agree that a professional traffic engineer should study the whole area from Brenton to Patriot Parkway, and a comprehensive plan come up, and the traffic engineer present at a traffic commission hearing. I will like to hear from the commission now, if anyone has any thoughts or comments. And I know whatever we do, some people will be happy and some won't, but we're going to try to really work on this and get this done and try to satisfy as many people as we can.
Paul, just as a courtesy, if the next time you do have a meeting like that,
Yes.
could you do a robocall to all the people that live in that area so they'd be aware of that meeting?
Yes, we did one last night, and we did one prior to the last meeting. So, okay. It usually goes to a home phone. If you don't have a home phone, then you have to sign your cell phone up to it. Okay. Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Like I say, I can't speak for the system, but we did do it, so. Yes.
Would it be in order to take a short 5-minute recess to stretch out and
Sure,
okay?
if you like.
Been a long- yes.
Okay. We're going to call a 5-minute recess. Okay, we'd like to get the meeting started. I appreciate everyone's patience here. So, the idea of a traffic study is an excellent one, a professional one from a traffic engineer. We have people that the city has used in the past. So, do I hear a motion to fund a traffic, or at least seek funding for a traffic? The Traffic Commission doesn't have a budget of its own, so, but we will certainly maybe ask the council to, maybe Ricky can do that for us, and seek funding for a traffic study. And I promise it's not something we're going to say, we'll fund a traffic study, and then a year from now, you're still waiting for it. So I will certainly make it my business to push that forward. So is there a motion to, does my commissioners feel?
So
Commissioners feel it's...
Mr. Chairman?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we will seek funding for a professional traffic engineer, and we'll do from Washington Ave right to Broadway and look at that area as a whole. And once the study is done, that engineer can have a presentation here at a public hearing, so everyone can participate and hear what that engineer has to say. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, any motion for the sustaining of the change we made or reversing it? We did, at the last meeting, say we were going to do a 60-day trial. So is there a feeling from the commission as to whether we want to rescind what we did now, keep the 60-day trial, and we can talk about it again at the October meeting? So, any motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
First of all, I just want to say I feel for everybody that's here. I don't think it's fair for us to kind of ping pong back and forth, so I would make a motion to carry out and finish the 60 days, and then go from there from the October meeting.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that,
Second.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're going to complete the 60-day trial. In October, when we have our regular meeting, we will revisit this and decide if we want to reverse the trial period or keep it as such. And by that time, I hope to have at least a proposal from a traffic engineer so that everyone is comfortable that that's moving forward. All right? Thank you very much. Do I have a meeting? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks.